Hey guys, Joe Flowers here with the Equipped to Endure exclusive. We had a chance to interview the Morris Kahansky at the Woodsmoke and Bushcraft Symposium in Idaho. That was put on by David Westcott and Backtracks, LLC. Now, if you don't know who Morris Kahansky is, he wrote the book Bushcraft, Outdoor Skills and Wilderness Skills, and is considered one of North America's top leading experts in survival, if not in the world, and definitely one of the big dudes in bushcraft, and also one of my personal heroes. So I had a great time interviewing him over a multi-hour process. So this is going to be one part of many segments here on Equipped to Endure. So stay tuned. And remember, if you're always prepared, you're never prepared. All right, I'm here with the Morris Kahansky, very mysterious man, the author of Bushcraft. You can see the book over there amongst some of the other things that he offers. And we've had him on Equipped to Endure on the podcast before, but now we have a one-on-one interview session here for you guys on YouTube to check this out. Morris, what you doing here at the Woodsmoke Rendezvous in Idaho?
Well, it's mainly because I know Dave Westcott, and for some strange reason he figures that I'm the grandfather of bushcraft. Well, I'll let people think. The bushcraft movement basically in England started probably about 3 years after I published my book. And when people started to look for more information on the subject, they discovered the Bible is already written. So generally an awful lot of stuff that relates to the idea here in the bushcraft. You've got an axe, a saw, a pot, and away you go. Everything else is derived from the bush. Now eventually in the future I would go more and more modern, but that's what this was. The publisher dictated that. I didn't even pick the title because he threw Richard Graves' book, Bushcraft, in front of me. He says, are you able to write a book like this, but on the Northern Hemisphere? And he in particular hated many things. He hated the word survival. He said it was overused. He hated the word complete, and the word secrets, all this guy. And he was kind of, what do you call it, abrasive personality. And well, that's another story.
But this is Richard Graves?
No, we're talking about Kennedy, the publisher of Lone Pine, sort of thing.
Okay.
But anyway, he managed, and I often say, if he didn't pressure me to write the book, I might still not have written it, because my life, I have dabbled in outdoor education, wilderness living skills. I've made a sufficient living that I never owed anybody anything, and I always had something to eat. I managed to raise my kids, so I wasn't pressured. And the reason that I give for not writing more is that when I sit down to write, it's so enjoyable. I don't want any pressures or whatever jeopardizing that. So here I am, yeah, sure. Sort of thing. Well, anyway, the internet can expect that there's going to be tons of stuff coming through the Karamat, which is Tamarack spelled backwards, and so on. Well, I met an individual in 1993 at an international Boy Scout conference. Randy Bruzma was there with his older son, who incidentally is probably one of the most accomplished flint knappers in probably most of Canada, because he took so many courses and he's on par, even though when he was 18, he was doing stuff that the old dogs were doing when it came to flint knapping, and honestly skilled and so on. Well, anyway, Adrian, Randy's son, has often participated in rabbit sticks. And Randy was a drywaller, or still is, but his interest really lay in the direction of these skills. For example, when he heard that the museum in Edmonton, the Provincial Museum, wanted 45, I think, elk hides possibly, or moose hides, and he tanned 45 of them in 6 weeks. And no native person could really criticize his work because it was so flawless. And of course Randy makes buffalo robes and so on, but that's, he's the guy that actually makes me come to the nose to the grind wheel. All these videos, it's just Randy and me. Some people complain that we're a little bit crude and rough, but I don't care, because it's all learning sort of thing.
If you don't have these DVDs already, they're an excellent learning resource. I have a bunch of them. I like them a lot. This is how I got to know Morris without really getting to know him. But
great resource. Where can you find those DVDs at?
Well, if nowhere else, Don Cavellis in Four Dog Stove, he's carries everything I have, but Karamat, they're my agent. They're the ones that do all the grunt work. Laurie does all the mailing, takes all the orders. So essentially I just wait for the royalty checks to come in now and again, and Randy is quite anxious that I get more of the stuff down, so there's more out there.
So you have the bushcraft book. Aren't there some small pamphlets that are available too?
Yeah, this is a situation where it's a long story, but I work with kids because my real livelihood really was outdoor education, and my specialty was survival. So I live, breathe, eat survival, but I can't make a living just teaching survival. But when I get sort of in like a dirty shirt in the school programs, so I develop programs there on teaching teachers how to incorporate nature a lot more, and how to have kids do things with their hands where the material comes out of the bush, where it's pretty cheap, inexpensive, and the kids learn what their ancestors did, and they learn to appreciate what the bush can do for them, all that sort of stuff. So in working with the youth movements, I found that you better keep your books small, not these big things.
They're perfect for me then.
So you charge less. And I've had people come up and look like this. You charge $3 for this book? And I'll smile and I'll say, well, go across the aisle here and buy yourself a cappuccino for $4.50. And I say, it's not the paper it's written on, it's the fact that I've had to learn all these sort of things, so that this is all organized knowledge, and you're paying for the knowledge, and you're paying for the years that I took to come up with. And one thing about people in outdoor situations, and even young people, they're very visual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the idea is, don't get too much text. Always have at least one picture where they open, and make those things interesting and so on. And the kids will pick up the book, and you don't say, read this book. They'll look at it and they'll read it on their own. Someone loses the booklet, they come along, it ain't going to lay around flying in the wind. The first person comes along, picks it up. And I discovered that this is a very nice way to present knowledge to the public, but it is very tedious. And what's going to happen here, these all our stuff has been translated into 8.5 by 11, typewriter sheet, 10. There's essentially 10 pages of information here, and you can download these because the mailing is so expensive that it doubles or triples. But if we find that it doesn't work, we'll go back to these little booklets. But when we do, they'll be in color, and of course they'll cost more if they're color. But for the time being, they've been very popular. I don't know, these booklets and the tapes for sure probably earn $15,000 a year.
Wow, that's
and it's
fantastic.
very handy when you're, I'm pensionable age. My pension is very big because I never contributed to any pensions, but the royalties from my book, the royalties from there, some of the jobs that I do for Karamat makes me live in the lap of luxury without, I'm not one of those old timers that is having a hard time making do.
No,
as
absolutely.
Elder I get, actually the
more notorious you get. Right?
Well, and my income is very adequate in the last 10 years and so on.
Aren't you going to Europe right after this? Or maybe
yes,
later on?
May. The Bushcraft Bushcraft, I think it's the title of the UK, Bushcraft UK, Bushcraft and Survival
Bushcraft UK. Yeah.
They have some kind of symposiums, and that one, they've been after me for years. Last time I went to the UK, I told people, I said, I don't want to come for 5 years. I don't like to come 2 years in a row. I had come previously, and then there was a year or two, and then I came for 30 some days. Then the second time over 70 days, and
70 days.
Yeah,
wow.
the 72, 73. As
Nice.
much as I enjoy myself as a tourist, and I'm treated like gold, it knocks a big chunk out of my opportunity to write or cater to the chores my wife has in mind. So this time I'm not going
Vegetable gardens,
so far. Yeah. So in May I'm going there, and I hopefully will have a tour in Poland where my ancestors come from, and I'm going to visit two of the most renowned instructors in Europe and Finland, Turku Aaltonen, and these are all long-term friends that I've known at least since 1990s. And Turku in particular, he's, I love the guy. He sent a letter to somebody once, and he got a hold of my book, and he wrote to this friend, and the friend showed me the letter. He says, I I pretty well, as far as I'm concerned, I might as well stop living because somebody wrote the book that I always wanted to write and it beat me to it.